This is John Jackson Miller, and you're listening to the Star Wars Canon Podcast. May the Force be with you.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Star Wars Canon Podcast, episode number 83. It's absolutely insane that we have actually made it this far, to be completely honest. Thank you for joining us to talk about our favorite thing in the world, yet again, Star Wars. And this is a very special episode because tonight we are celebrating the 10th anniversary of the YouTube channel. Not necessarily the podcast, but of the YouTube channel, the Star Wars Canon Library. I started it on August 15th in 2015, and I thought it'd be kind of cool to get on here tonight and talk some Star Wars like we normally do and just treat it like another day. But we've got some extra people in the panel tonight that also want to talk some Star Wars. As always, joining me from across the pond is my faithful Wookiee co-pilot from Cairo, Egypt. Please welcome to the stage, Mr. Usef Waly. How are you tonight, brother?
Always happy to talk Star Wars. Always happy. I am a pond and a half away, so it's not only an ocean, but there's also Mediterranean in there. There's the north coast of Africa. It's pretty far. It's pretty dark over here. It's already the next day. I'm coming to you from the future, and it's always happy. It's always a good time to talk Star Wars. It's never a bad time. So happy to stay up and continuously search through the galaxy of content that we have here. It's fantastic.
Very nice. And also joining us from right here in the United States with me for the first time in quite a while. It's awesome to have you on, my friend. Mr. J.G. Carse, how are you tonight, brother?
I'm doing very well. I'm very excited to talk Star Wars with y'all. And yeah, it's been a hot second. I actually genuinely don't remember the last time. Life gets crazy and busy.
Does.
But, Star Wars doesn't stop, and I've been, as you can tell, reading every book and keeping up with everything, and it's been a good old time in this galaxy.
Yeah, absolutely. And JG, I need to pick your brain, too, at some point, because I know you're really big into High Republic.
Yes.
I know you were really big on it. We've got Usef reading the High Republic for the first time on the show right now. So we right now we're on Convergence. I think next week is when we're doing the review for Convergence. Is that right, Usef?
Yes, sir.
Next
yes,
week?
sir. That's the plan.
All right. Yeah, we're starting it off all the way back at the beginning with Convergence. So, but we're not talking about that tonight. Tonight we are talking about some new content that might be coming out here in the next several months. We've got, San Diego Comic-Con that just wrapped up a week or two ago. We had some announcements out of that. And a lot of publishing stuff, honestly, a little bit more than I was thinking. So let's just jump right into this for tonight. First off, we have an announcement for a novel that's coming out that I honestly didn't see coming. I never thought we would get anything attached to this. But it's a novel called Star Wars Outlaws, Low Red Moon. And this is going to be following the Outlaw video game that Ubisoft put out that I guess wasn't that big of a hit. I don't know. Was it? I don't remember. I kind of enjoyed it. But I really didn't think we'd get a novel based off this. JG, I know you're big into all these books the same way I am. Did this catch you by surprise? Did you see this come? Because we've got novels for Jedi, Fallen Order, and Survivor. We had Battle Scars, but we didn't really expect this. What do you think?
I think partially I was surprised and not surprised because we have had so many tie-ins, so it should be expected at this point, with all the video games and everything from Inferno Squadron to everything else in between. But like you said, I mean, according to Ubisoft themselves, the high ups, the suit and ties, it was a failure. They actually blamed it on the Star Wars brand, but
Yeah.
I think that's a choice. I think the fault of that game was more of the fact of there were some bugs and such and all that.
Yeah.
The story is also just kind of, it's your classic smuggler story. It's nothing super like new or crazy, but to be able to flesh out these characters, that's what the books are for. So I'm very excited for this.
Yeah. Usef, have you had a chance to play Outlaws yet?
Yeah, definitely. I had a chance to play it. It just I tried to do a little bit too much, so I got sidetracked. And Outlaws is that kind of game, I think. So I need to go back and replay a lot of it, because around the time of Christmas time and stuff like that, I stopped playing it just because I got distracted. I wasn't even playing much that time. I had a lot of work to catch up on. But then it was hard to get back into it, and I genuinely nearly forgot about it. The same way you just said, like, I'm not sure how excited I was about it. I kind of forgot how great it was, that kind of thing. It's not such a memorable experience, but I think when I go back, and I'm quite excited now, so this novel is actually making me a little bit more excited. So let me just try to understand this. So from what I've read about this novel, it's set in 2 different time frames. Is that right? So shortly after Order 66, and also approximately just before A New Hope. So it's not really in the same exact timeline as Outlaws, is it?
I don't know. I haven't read anything. JG, have you?
I'm looking here at the book, and it does say 2 separate time periods.
Okay.
I think it is completely a prequel story, though. So,
It is. So it is a prequel story for Outlaw's story.
Yeah.
So it's got
Okay.
me. I mean, what my point is that it helps. If it helps supplement my experience for the game, then I'm going to be excited more. You know what I mean? I'm going to get a little bit more lore around it. I'm going to appreciate the story a little bit more. So if you're saying it's a pretty cut and dry or straightforward sort of smuggler story, then I can appreciate it a little bit more. You know what I mean? Then I can sort of wrap my head around it a little bit more.
And they're doing this book on like probably 2 of the more intriguing characters, being ND5 and Jalen Vrax. And so those characters were always very interesting, especially the dynamics between themselves and how they're introduced into Outlaws and like everything that's like hinted at. So I think there's a lot of potential. Like if you're gonna tell any story here, this is like the story to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember when the trailers came out for this game and everybody's like, why does that look like Kyle Katarn in this game? You remember that? And everybody was just like, holy crap, are you serious? And I got excited too. I was like, I think that's freaking Kyle Katarn. You guys know I love Kyle. And I was like, but yeah, no, this book sounds okay. I mean, I had fun with the game. Usef, one of the things with this game is it's not a game that you go into with the mentality of I'm going to beat this game as fast as I can. I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm just saying you go into it with the mentality of this is my journey. I don't know how long this is going to take. I'm just going to do it and see everything and do everything and find everything and kill everything in some cases. But I
think so. I'm going to ask you something. I'm going to interrupt you and ask you something. My approach was I want to flesh out everything. I approached this perhaps incorrectly, like any other open world game. Let's compare it to an Assassin's Creed game that you and me like to play. So I'm trying to do all the stuff mirroring around the map and all this other kind of, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I want to get really good with this faction now. Yeah. And I'm thinking maybe I should, let's just progress with the story and get all the abilities out first. Let's just try to upgrade the bike for, and then I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm trying to do too much at the same time.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just sort of stick something and pick some stuff up on the same, on the wavelength, on the way to doing all these different things.
They throw a lot at
That's
you.
what I'll do next time, I suppose, or this coming time.
Yeah.
It's the curse of an open world game where like the whole promise and expectation of open world game is where you could go anywhere and do anything. However, at the same time, that equally then takes you away from the main story. And so it is very challenging. But I do think, and I give credit to Outlaws, and I don't know if this lesson is going to be learned by the video game industry because a lot of times they don't take the right lessons. But I think this is the proof that there can be an open world Star Wars game. The story might need a little bit more tightened. The mechanics and bugs might need to be a little bit more worked on. But if you really put in like the time that say Rockstar does for like GTA and Red Dead Redemption, you put in like 10 years. Yes, us fans are gonna be impatient as hell, but you're gonna have a really darn good video game.
Yeah,
100%.
I had a lot of fun with Outlaws. I think they've gone back and revamped a lot of stuff on the game.
Oh yeah.
Since I played it at launch, from what I've heard, it's almost an entirely different experience now. Just from the way they've changed some of the stuff.
It's fixed. It's not what it was at launch. It is now like now is the time to play. If you like,
I need to go back and play it again.
I think it's on Game Pass even. So like, spend $10-15 for a subscription and play it, and then unsubscribe. There you go.
Seriously though, Outlaws, like so many mechanics inside Outlaws were the first time I've ever seen that kind of mechanic in an open world game.
Yeah,
and we were talking earlier about another game which I'm not too fond about coming out just because it's going to be a turn-based game, a Ground Zero, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is that I'm just not into those kind of.
What is it? Company Zero.
Company Zero.
Company
yeah.
Zero.
Zero Company.
Zero Company.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not Ground Zero. It's your company.
The more
So,
XCOM
but the
style
thing is
game.
that, sure, I know that I'm just not into that kind of game, but I love open world games. I love RPGs. But there were so many different mechanics. They're completely different to any different game that I've had before.
Yep.
So it was very intriguing, and I loved that aspect of the criminal underworld. And you're trying to, sort things out here. It's more difficult to be in stealth. That's fine. I have to work my way around and get used to it. It's perfectly cool. So I'm excited to jump back into the game, and this novel hopefully will be a really good addition.
Yeah, absolutely. So, do we have a release date on that, JG, on Low Red Moon?
It's next year, February
year
3rd.
sometime?
February
3rd?
26th. February 2026. Sorry.
Okay.
Yep.
February 3rd. Okay. So yeah, that's coming. So, if you guys are looking forward to that, February 3rd, that will go on sale. Another new one that came out too, just this past week, was the Acolyte novel, The Crystal Crown. Have you picked that one up yet, JG?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of reading.
You're in the
it.
middle. What do you think so far?
It's good. Yep.
Yeah?
It's more expanding on the Acolyte and of some of the characters in there. It's a YA novel, which some of the best Star Wars novels are YAs,
Yes.
so don't let that take that away from that.
Yes.
But yeah, it's Tessa Gratton, so if you enjoy Tessa's writing, it's more of that.
Sweet. Cool. I need to pick it up. I've got Wayseeker in there, but I haven't picked it up yet. I figured I would just get to it whenever, as Usef's reading the High Republic, when we get towards the end of Phase 3, then I'll pick up Wayseeker and we'll pick it up then. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this Jekki novel. I like Jekki a lot.
I agree. Wayseeker is definitely read that after you're done with the High Republic. It's an epilogue.
Afterwards?
basically.
Okay. That's actually really good to know.
Yep.
All right. Some of the other announcements we got was Kit Fisto's getting his own comic run miniseries. We're also getting another Halloween-themed series this year, like we seem to every year, called Tales from the Nightlands, which looks pretty cool. A little like anthology series. It looks pretty cool. I miss getting the Tales from Vader's Castle and Return to Vader's Castle. I miss getting all those like spooky ones. I love them, especially like George Mann's Dark Legends. I loved Dark Legends. I love that book. I can't wait to watch Usef read that, because that's going to be so much fun with you loving villains and everything. It's going to be so much fun to read that one. And then Black, White, and Red is getting a new character, Boba Fett. Boba Fett's getting a Black, White, and Red miniseries, which those are pretty cool. Those are really neat. I really like the Darth Maul one quite a bit. So JG, do you read the comics as much as you do the novels and stuff? Do you keep up on the comics? I don't remember.
I keep up with the comics.
Do you?
It's
Okay.
not really my thing, but because of being the lore and canon junkie that I am, I read it, so I know it.
Well, I mean, have you read the Vader and the Maul Black, White, and Reds?
I did not
you know?
read them. I have glanced through them more for just to see the images and such, because I think the art is really cool.
it's beautiful.
Again, just wasn't necessarily my cup of tea.
Usef, these are going to be comics that I'm going to have to be scanning to get to you. For everybody that doesn't know,
That's my issue with comics. I can't read them online. There's no real platform. If anybody knows of a platform where I can access comics, I have no problem doing that. But otherwise, and by the way, when I was in the UK last week, and when I went to that store and I showed you guys some photos, the comic selection there was really, really poor. So I had to go to a specific comic book store, and they were like, "Yeah, all of our Star Wars stuff is outdated. We have stuff that's a year old, not stuff that's in the last year." Why? Because they sell out super fast, and they just don't restock them. And whatever doesn't sell out, they're like, "Okay, we'll just bring in the best sellers again," and then they just hang around there for like a year.
wow.
Yeah, it's really weird.
So right now, the way Usef is getting some of this stuff, like when we did our review for like Tales of Enlightenment, I had to take my hard copy to work and put it on my scanner and email it to myself, and then I sent Usef the PDFs of the screen scan so that he could read it. So I'm gonna have to start taking my comic books to work and just like lay them on the friggin' Xerox machine and just
That's some real one stuff right there.
yeah,
Again.
I know.
Like university student again, looking at PDFs a buddy of mine sent on Facebook Messenger. I'm just like, wow, or
Zoom
email.
it in.
Actually, you did an email. It's like, wow, I'm a university student again. I feel 19 years old. Did you do the reading? Yes, I did. Yes, I did, Professor Miller. Yes, I did, Master.
Zooming
Yes,
in on the screen and trying to see all the words. But yeah, I'm gonna have to start sending comic books. I mean, we're actually after Convergence. I think we're getting to the point where I'm gonna have to start sending you some High Republic comics.
Absolutely.
But anyway, they're gonna be some long PDFs, just page after page after page after page.
So Amazon does this thing. So there's a new company coming up here in Egypt called Shop and Ship. it used to be popular before COVID, and then for some reason it stopped because Egypt had to sort of we changed a little bit about our customs duties and processes and things like that, so it shut down. But it's starting up again using Amazon itself. It's not a private company anymore. It's like with Amazon. It's not a private endeavor anymore. It's like a sub company of Amazon, because Amazon is a huge regional hub in Egypt now. So that is supposedly making it so much easier for me to get stuff through Amazon globally to here. So if it's on Amazon, most likely, so I'm going to give this a run. You know, we can test this out and we'll make a reading list between us, and I'll try it out and buy that stuff through Amazon, let's say Amazon US or UK or wherever, and then have it shipped to my address in Egypt. And we'll see what happens.
Okay. We can do that.
We'll just see.
We'll see. What I mean? If it comes down to it, I don't have a problem scanning. I don't have a problem scanning.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that saves postage from having to send you anything. So I don't have a problem doing that.
I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. But you can't really scan me a novel now. And audiobooks
could.
I love audiobooks, and I'm an audio learner, and Audible is fine. I just want more books, basically. Yeah. So
I could, but I'd spend my whole lunch hour just turning page.
Just the lunch hour?
You could probably read it faster than I could scan it, to be honest, because by the time I email everything to you, so
you could probably listen to it on Audible faster than you can scan.
But yeah,
I am excited for this Kit Fisto novel. This is one of the ones that I might look at. Like, so these are comics. This is something that I might try to look at, actually, because I really like Kit Fisto.
I love Kit Fisto. And what's funny is if you look at him between episodes 2 and 3, the Clone Wars were hard on that man. They were super hard on him. Everybody talks about how hard it was on Obi-Wan with getting the gray in his hair. Look at Kit Fisto. He had it rough, man. He was on the front lines. Usef, let's get into your villain bracket for the week.
Nice.
I butchered explaining it last episode. I butchered trying to tell everyone. No, I feel like I butchered it. Give us the runaround on what I can't even talk right now. What the villain bracket is, because I'm still thinking about how bad I was. Just like, I completely missed one of the biggest points too. So, fill us in. What is this villain bracket, Usef?
No, it's I think you do yourself a disservice. The villain bracket is meant to be one of the ways that I am trying to sort of enjoy one of my favorite things about Star Wars. Star Wars is massive. It's huge. And there's so much content out there. Some people don't even know that there are novels. Some people don't even know that there's you can just deep dive into certain characters. My favorite thing about Star Wars, and what really hooked me into Star Wars when I was watching it as a teenager all those years back in the 2000s, was the villains. And, the villain, Darth Sidious and Darth Vader and the dark side and the Sith, really hooked me in, because the Force is a very special thing. It's very unique to Star Wars, to the galaxy far, far away. And in my opinion, that a great villain makes a great story. Whether it's because traditionally speaking, the hero has to rise above this villain and has to challenge himself again and again to get himself over the line, to be able to defeat this villain, to find grit deep down within him, or it's just a completely different philosophy of the story that you didn't expect to really resonate with the villain. I find myself really resonating with a lot of villains in Star Wars because they're mostly passion driven, not necessarily control driven. It really depends on which villain you're looking at. Anyway, so the villain bracket is just this one way of saying, well, I know I love villains, and I know I love looking at different stories, to assessing what kind of villain it is going to help me see whether or not I'm going to like the story right off the bat. So looking at the villains in Star Wars, and there are so many in there that I don't even know about. So we've categorized villains into different categories, and I'm going to be we have pitted them up against each other. We're going to put it up as a vote between us on the panel, in the Star Wars panel in our group, as well as everybody else that listens to us. Of course, you guys can vote on it. And we're putting them up against each other. So who's cooler? Who do you like more? And that's basically whether or not you resonate with them. It's not necessarily who would win in a fight. It's more about who's cooler to you. Who would you want to be? Who would you want to be like? Who would you want to meet or sit down and have a drink with, or stuff like that? So if you don't know these characters, you read up on them. You research them a little bit more, and this sort of inspired me a little bit. Some of them I have no idea who they are. And I discovered them because of this bracket, because I'm not the one putting this bracket on my own. I don't know enough about the characters in Star Wars. All the other amazing guys who know far more than me on this group have. But yes, this is essentially the whole summary, I suppose, and it's just one of those ways that I'm I'm using, and I hope everybody else is also using. So it's not just a landslide victory for the famous one, the character that we all know, and then the other one that we don't know. Some people actually look into it, and Brian and I will do our best to just give a little bit of a snapshot. And if people are interested, you can read into it a little bit more, look into that character and see whether or not he's a fit for why you might like Star Wars.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, see, I butchered that. I was just like, hey, Usef likes bad guys, and we're gonna find out which one's the coolest. That's the way it came out. Because I even went back.
Well, that's probably the most succinct way. That took way too long.
when I was editing that episode together, the last episode we did, when I was editing it, and I hate listening to myself. I can't listen to my own podcast. I can't listen to my own voice.
You haven't gotten used to it by now?
No, I haven't. I hate listening to myself. And
Fair.
But I listen to every episode while editing it. You know what I mean? Like, I end up going through every second of it. So by the time it's over, I'm like, I'm just going to trust that it's done. I'm trust that I found everything that I needed to fix and everything like that. And I put it out. Haven't had any complaints yet, but I can't stand listening to myself. So like when I was editing that together, I was like, oh my God, I'm an idiot. I'm an absolute idiot. I can't do that. I can't talk about Usef's villain bracket. I can't do it. So, this week we've got 6 names left in this category. We are on miscellaneous Force users right now. Last week, the villain bracket was Shin Hati and Maul. And that was, just as I predicted, incredibly one-sided. I really wanted my girl to win. She didn't. Maul won, landslide. With him and his dope and deadly legs, like he just completely steamrolled Shin. So, you guys voted on YouTube, on Facebook, on our Twitter account, and you guys voted for Maul. So may the best man win. He did, sadly. So this week we've got 6 more names, and we're gonna find out who is getting pitted up against who. So let's see if I can get this on the screen again. I did it. All right, here we go. Let's find out who this is going to be.
Pretty big names here.
Yeah. Well, you're the one to put it together, buddy. All right. So we got Mother Talzin. All right. Mother Talzin's going to be the first one. And we're going to see who she goes up against. And I know who I want her to go up against. But we'll see if I get who I want. Yes. Okay. It's Balin Skull, baby. So that's a good one. That's really good. So it's a
very interesting one.
Mother Talzin and Balin Skull. I love Balin Skull so much. He's one of my favorite Star Wars characters. Quickly became one of my favorite Star Wars characters. And just the
he came out of nowhere.
Yeah. I like the way he looks. I like his attitude, like his thought process, his agenda, his motivation, all of it. I love it. His style. He looks like like you said, Usef, he looks like a Knights Templar. He looks like a Templar Knight.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's just, I love him. So, Usef, are you happy with this matchup? And who do you think you're going to vote for in this? Talzin?
No, I'm not. This is weird. I immediately when you said, there's someone I want to face it. I thought you meant Snoke. I thought you meant master for master sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm going to vote Balin over anybody. I'll vote Balin over anyone. So, JG,
no, it's interesting. Also, do you think so? This might be premature because, well, not premature, but I mean, Balin's story still isn't even half done yet.
No,
yeah, we're going to see a lot more Balin in the future. Hopefully, a lot more. I'm hoping a lot.
I mean, if you're going to recast him, he's like super important for whatever they're cooking for that story and that part of the universe and whatnot. So, like, if it wasn't, they would just kind of let it be. But it's so important they had to recast.
I think whatever is going to happen, man, I don't know if I want to say this or not because I'm second guessing myself as I'm thinking about it. I was going to say, but I think I'm wrong, that whatever's going to happen in this season 2 of Ahsoka with Balin and, whatever that was, I think we all have our theories as to what he was looking at off in the distance. Whatever that is and whatever's going to happen on Peridia or whatever's going to happen with that story, I really was going to say I hope it has a lot to do with this Dave Filoni movie they're going to do, but they're in a whole nother galaxy, and I feel like the part that's going to affect the Dave Filoni film, if that even still happens, has already come back to the Star Wars galaxy. I think that whole thing just split into 2, and now they're doing their thing. They're going to do their thing. But it's still going to be a cool ride. Like, like JG said, he's too important. He was so important they had to recast him. And also, there was
Extremely
only one
interesting
outing.
the journey he's on.
There was only one outing of Balin so far in Ahsoka. So if you're going to recast him, now's the time to do it before you start getting too much traction going. But,
I mean, we know that Ahsoka season 2 is going to be split into 2 stories, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I could very much seeing the story that's taking place in our galaxy with Hera and all that such and Thrawn. I could see that tying into Dave's movie. Yeah,
absolutely. We start talking about Dave Filoni's movie, and I just get all giddy inside. I get this like pressure in my chest, and I'm like, oh my god. Do what?
I'm really expecting Balin Skull to get his own comic book run or novels after season 2 of Ahsoka.
Oh,
like I'm really expecting that.
I'm surprised he hasn't already. To be honest, I'm surprised they haven't already announced.
Well, I'm waiting to see what rabbit hole he's going down because we're still not sure what it is that he's going.
I'm not surprised we haven't gotten it because Screen will always have priority. So while they're still telling and fleshing out this story,
that's true.
They're not gonna let anything be told unless it's like explicitly like the thumbs up from like Dave, basically.
Or if they do a prequel story, like
exactly
when he was a Jedi Knight, what made him have the falling out? Because he was obviously very jaded with Anakin and everything.
And they're not going to do that because at least for now, until they know that Dave's not going to do a flashback. Essentially,
right. Yeah, that makes total sense. I'm so excited for Ahsoka season 2. Yeah, I honestly, with the whole Balin Skull recasting, that's a lose-lose. No matter which way they went with that, it was going to be a tough situation and a loss. If they CG'd him, there was going to be people complaining. And honestly, recasting was the best thing they could have done for him.
Yep.
At this point, and as much as that sucks. As much as it just hurts, I love Balin Skull so much that I'm happy to see the character go on.
Lucasfilm needs to set that precedent, though, that if unfortunate, unexpected things happen, or if characters grow out of the likeness, you need to recast. Like, we can't just rely on technology to do this. We need to move forward and cast different actors and actresses.
Yeah. The character is bigger than the actor. That's honestly the way it should be. And talking about recasts, I was telling Usef before you hopped on, JG. I got my son to watch Solo for the first time a week ago, and he said he wanted to watch Star Wars, and which brought a tear to my eye, and I was like, okay, we'll watch Star Wars, and so we watched all the movies, and then we went back and watched Rogue One, and then there was a gap where we didn't have a lot of time. Life kind of got in the way, and the other day we were like, hey, do you want to watch Solo? And he was like, yeah. So we sat down and watched Solo with him. And even with the recast of Han Solo, remember when that movie came out? I was not a fan of it. I was just like, it's all right. It's grown on me. That movie has grown on me a lot. And it's just a fun adventure. But the more I watch it now, the more I realize he was a really good Han Solo. Alden Ehrenreich was an awesome Han Solo.
Yep.
He did a great job. I'm really honestly kind of pissed that we haven't gone anywhere with that story, and especially when you read the novel and how there's a scene at the end of the book that kind of ties in with Rogue One, ties Solo to Rogue One. That whole scene where Enfys Nest is giving the coaxium to Saw Gerrera and Jyn Erso. It's kind of cool that they're there and everything. So I'm kind of sad that we haven't gotten anything more on that. Not yet.
Hopefully, I was about to say, Maul Shadow Lord maybe fills in some of those gaps.
I'm hoping. I'm looking forward to Shadow. Oh, that was the other thing we should have talked about too. Was we got some stuff on Shadow Lord, but anyway, Balin Skull and Mother Talzin. Those are the two.
I feel like I got to talk about Mother Talzin just a little bit here because we basically only talked about.
We did, that tells you how much.
I mean, Mother Talzin. So Balin's a little bit more recent. Mother Talzin, of course, she. I think
she's cool.
Anybody who's already she needs no introduction to anybody who's already sort of witnessed her, understood her, who knows who the Night Sisters are, the Witches of Dathomir, all that. She is a mystic powerhouse of a woman, of a witch, of a person. She's extremely gothic and arcane, and she had this uneasy alliance with Darth Sidious to a certain level. She sort of understood what he was going for, and then she was like, no, only one of us is going to survive this, and they sort of knew what it was. Then they had that sort of half battle over there. It was kind of half because
the whole assassination attempt that she led Ventress on against Dooku in Clone Wars. That was so cool.
She is fantastic. She controls an entire cult.
Yeah,
and she's just so powerful with the Force through a different way of manipulating it. She can do a lot of stuff. She can curse. Obviously, so she's a witch, so she curses stuff. She can teleport. I haven't seen Jedi do that. You know what I mean? I haven't seen Jedi or Sith do that. She can fight physically. She's kind of an acrobat. That's where a lot of the fighting from the style. Sorry, where we see Ventress and Maul do that, and not just Maul's brother as well. Can't remember his name right now, but yes,
Savage.
Savage Opress. Thank you.
Yeah.
She can also force heal. So we know that you know what I mean. Like if you actually tie in Mother Talzin being a force user,
force surgery,
then we know that
like
you can
when
do
she
all
gave
these
Darth
things.
Maul his dope and deadly legs, like.
Yeah, no, she's super cool. I mean, she worked with and against during the Clone Wars. She worked with and against Darth Sidious and therefore Count Dooku, and she's the one who brought up Asajj Ventress, and she obviously put forth Maul as a candidate for Darth Sidious to take under his wing, that sort of thing.
And then
she's
Grievous
super cool.
came in and just wrecked
creepy.
house.
Yes.
You know, if you're into that sort of witchy sort of arcane kind of vibe, then you're definitely not gonna go for the big typical brawny Knight Templar who's got a big bastard or sword in his hand with a great sword like that. You know what I mean? So if you want to be stereotypical about it, she's cooler from that angle. But Baylan Skoll, we've just talked about how amazing he is. So, so this is kind of interesting. The more I talk about it, the more I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, but Mother Talzin is pretty cool too.
We were talking about Ahsoka so much too, and seeing the Dathomirian magic for the first time in live action in Ahsoka was really cool.
Yes,
and seeing the Night Troopers.
That completely spaced out of that. Yeah, you're right.
That was super cool. Which makes me wonder if at some point we might get a little bit of a flashback with some other Talzin and some Ahsoka or something. Wouldn't that be cool? See some live action.
That would be amazing.
That'd be so cool.
I would hope to see that. I don't want to be
because we already saw the other Great Mothers. And I mean it's just so cool. Like Kirsty loves the Dathomirians.
It'd be full circle too because of the fact that like Talzin was unused concept art for Phantom Menace.
Yes.
So like if she would be coming into live action, that'd be truly incredible to see that full circle.
They have been doing that quite a bit too.
I did not know that she was
unused work and stuff.
Yeah.
Even in was it Ahsoka? It was Ahsoka. Yeah, the one astromech droid on the B-wing that looked exactly like the action figure from the 70s. Like that, they've been doing little nods. So seeing Mother Talzin come up in a flashback somewhere, especially since they're going to Dathomir of all places, and Ahsoka, like of course you're gonna find out. She might even she's still alive, or did Mother Talzin die?
No,
I don't remember.
I
thought she.
I genuinely
don't
remember. I thought she was dead because isn't supposed to be
killed, man.
I thought she was killed.
We have still oh my gosh, Ventress running around, and we also have Marin from the
she was killed by General Grievous.
What
that sounds right.
Was she? Yeah, that does sound right. I feel like he did kill her. But you're right, Night Sister wise, we do have Asajj and Marin.
I remember her sacrificing herself to save remnants of her cult, and then she was sort of revived by those remnants, and then Grievous took her out.
Yeah,
it was a short-lived.
Wook says that she was sent Maul to safety before being slain by Grievous. It definitely marked the fall of Dathomir and the end of the Talzin's Night Sister Coven.
But she's like Dathomirian witch. So does death really mean death? Like
it's not the first Night Sister that's come back recently. So
you died? That's cute, you know. It's like Palpatine. I've died before. That doesn't mean nothing. It doesn't matter if she's dead.
No.
I think on this one I'm going to have to go with Baylan. I'll vote for Baylan over anybody on this list, to be completely honest.
Well, Baylan, can we just say something else? So a lot of the names that we saw on that wheel, the reason why they're miscellaneous force users is because they're not Sith. Because we have another category for Sith later.
Right.
So it was Baylan Skoll being a force user, being trained as a Jedi. Is he a gray Jedi?
No. Oh, God, I hate that term. I hate that term.
Thank you.
I hate that term so much. I can't stand the term.
But that term exists, and that term is canon.
No,
it's not.
No,
it's a legend term, so it's not officially a canon.
No,
it's not even really fully. It's not even really fully a legend.
No, it's a fandom term. Yeah, that's.
Oh, it's more like a fan thing, huh?
Yeah.
That's what you would look for in the closest thing that you can come to that in canon is like what we've now come to know as Wayseekers, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's about as close as you could get. Yeah.
I'm yet to read up on that. So yes, I will be.
Yeah. So I can't stand the term gray Jedi. I can't, because if you're gray, you're not a Jedi. You don't live by the Jedi. I can't. Don't get me started.
Fair.
It
could be a gray
Ahsoka puts it clearly, I am no Jedi.
No, Ahsoka's not a gray Jedi. Ahsoka's a Ronin. That's the term. She's a Ronin.
Absolutely.
She's a way seeker. She is what we now know as a way
yes,
seeker.
yeah.
Like, that's what she is.
But I love that Thrawn calls her a Ronin and Ahsoka. I love
mhm.
that so much. Because she has no affiliation. And she's like, I'm no Jedi. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's sick. So anyway, I'm going Balin Skull. And
it's a good setup.
He's not a gray Jedi. He's not.
Well, I mean,
if
you love mystery and sorcery, then Mother Talzin is your cultish queen.
Yeah, and if you have half a brain, you'll vote for Balin.
If you love stoic charisma with big sword energy,
big sword,
excuse the pun, Balin's your guy.
Amazing,
big sword energy.
And a head-to-head
for me.
His saber was kind of long, wasn't it? It was like.
See, honestly, I'm not entirely sure which one I'm going to go yet, because in a head-to-head fight, if I was going to think about who I would want to have their powers for, again, I just said, like, it's not about who's going to win in the fight, but it's about who looks cooler to me doing it and what kind of powers I'd want. Sure, Talzin might take it magically in my mind, because just magic is magic. It's arcane. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But, Balin would definitely look cooler, aesthetically.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Sort of
I was really rooting for Balin against Ahsoka, too, in the Ahsoka series. I was like, kick her ass.
Oh, no, that was
like, get her.
It was clear. He's the automatic boss battle. Does that make sense? He's the automatic boss.
Yeah, he's just a thug. I love it. So that is our villain bracket for the week. It is Balin Skull and Mother Talzin. Go over to our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and our Twitter account, all listed below on this video or audio version, or on whatever platform you're listening in on. You can go over there, vote for which one you think is cooler, and vote multiple times. That's cool. Definitely go over and vote for Balin more than once. That'd be great. And we'll see who wins on next week's episode. Anything else you guys want to add on the villains before we move on to mailbag questions?
Nope.
No? All right. There it is, guys. In the can. All right. We are moving on to mailbag questions. Each week we go through and pick out a few, and this week we've got 3. How do you guys get a question on the Star Wars Canon Podcast? You email it to us at starwarscanonpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll go through and pick a few out. Like I said last episode, if you guys want to get a question, if you want better odds to get your question on the show, because I only usually do 3, 4, 5 of them, and sometimes we get dozen and a half of them at a time, but some of them are always about news stories that we're going to talk about anyway. And so if you want your question on, bring up something a little more obscure. Let's dig into the lore a little bit, and let's get into some Star Wars lore. So this week we've got 3 questions. The first question this week comes from Kyler Knowles, who's written in before. Thank you for being a follower and a listener, Kyler. We do appreciate it. Kyler sends in, the older I've gotten, the more I appreciate good dialogue and the slower build type books. So my question is, what do you guys think is the Star Wars book with the best dialogue, and are there any scenes in books that stand out to you? Thanks for the question, Kyler. JG, I've got one in my mind, but I'm going to you first. What's your favorite scene in a Star Wars book, and which one do you think has the best dialogue?
Okay, that's really hard. Okay, so
It's a very good question.
I will avoid High Republic stuff for the sake of Usef, but I could probably write a whole.
No, don't. Actually, please don't do that. I need to get hyped up and excited about specific High Republic books. Have at it, my friend.
I have other options. I do not want to.
There's like 200 of them.
Special. I think in terms of dialogue, I think the one that really stands out to me is Catalyst. I think a lot of the conversations between Krennic and Galen are just so delicious. And I always have said this about this book. It completely changed my perspective of the Separatists, and realizing that the Separatists were actually the good guys, and that the Republic was actually pretty much at fault here. I mean, obviously Palpatine is pulling all the strings, and we all know that. Right. But like, that book just completely flips everything you think you know about the Separatists and everything leading up to the creation of the Death Star, and you're just like, oh. And it gets real, like the real meaty conversations between these two characters, and it's really, really good. My favorite scene, oh my gosh, yeah, a ton in the High Republic. It's probably one of the most cinematic stories that we've seen, but I would like to go even further back to Bloodline, I think is what it is, and the whole napkin bombing scene.
Oh, yeah.
And then the fallout. and then the fallout of the music box, which if you haven't read, I think is actually probably one of the biggest things that has been dropped in
Yeah.
Star Wars books to not be on screen. Is like, this should have been somewhere seen visually for us, because it's such a huge moment for Leia.
Yeah.
But yeah, those moments for sure.
It's funny you bring up Bloodline. Well, first off, Catalyst was going to be the one I was going to say for the best dialogue, and you beat me to it. Okay, that's fair. So since you said that one, I'll say a different one. One of my favorite ones is what you said, Bloodline. But there's another scene in that book that I absolutely love, and I don't remember who it is she's talking to, but she's sitting outside at night, and she's talking to, I think, one of the other senators, and she's like, she points up and she's like, "You see that star? That's Alderaan." And they're like, "Well, I thought Alderaan was destroyed." And she's like, "Yeah, but the light from the explosion hasn't gotten here yet. So the only way I can feel close to home is to get further away from it." And I was like, that's like pure. I love Leia. Like, that was just so pure. And that's the words. Those are the words of somebody who's heartbroken and homesick. You know, was
that Casterfo?
Oh, it might have been. Yeah. I think that's who she's.
Casterfo.
Yeah. But yeah, I love that whole scene. But my favorite scene in any of the books right now, one of my favorites, is in Lords of the Sith, and which Lords of the Sith had good dialogue too. The narration was kind of weird because if I had
the book that I've written in my notes, like seriously,
yeah, no, if I had $1 for every time they wrote Vader fell deeply into the Force in that book, I'd be a millionaire. I could buy all the canon books again. Because they just used it over and over. But the dialogue was super on point. And there's a scene in there where Vader and Palpatine are in this cave, and there's these like bug creatures attacking them. And at one point, and they got their lightsabers out and they're slashing, and the bugs overtake Palpatine. And Vader stops for a second and is like, "Do I let him go? Do I just say, hey, this is what happens?" And so finally he jumps in, and Palpatine ends up getting out of it on its own, but they go back to back. And as they're fighting, Palpatine's like, "Did you think about letting me die?" And Vader's like, he stops and he's like, "Yes, master." And Palpatine's like, "Good." Like, it was just awesome. I loved it. So I love that scene. But there's a lot of good scenes in some of the books. That one in Bloodline, that whole book Bloodline, that whole book is just, there's nothing galaxy shattering in the novels, like huge plot points for the galaxy, but there was in Bloodline. That was a huge moment. JG knows what I'm talking about. There's a huge moment in that book where you're like,
"Yep,
what?"
That's what I was teasing. Yep.
I was like, "Oh my gosh, why isn't that on screen somewhere?" Like, that's a huge moment for the galaxy. And so I love that one. Aftermath was another good one too. The whole Battle of Jakku.
Empire's End.
Yeah, yes.
Empire's End is a movie. Empire's End
Yes.
is a movie.
Yeah, that one was really good. And one of the Aftermath had the little interlude chapters too. And there was one for the acolytes of the dark side in that in Empire's End about them finding Vader's lightsaber, and the little kid in the police station cuts the guy's hand off, and he's like, "Look what I found!" It's like, "Whoa, God, he's got Vader's lightsaber." It's like, what? Like, how is everybody ending up with these lightsabers after they've been lost? But there's so many good scenes in some of these books.
I mean, honestly, there's a few things I'd say just as a response to Kyler is just the fact that a lot of the familiarity, the familiarity of the voices is what really drives your experience. So if you're reading Master and Apprentice, which really did it for me, and you're reading, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and that's honestly, so I love Lord of, actually, you would have thought that I'd say something like Tarkin, which I'm going to bring up.
There's a scene in Tarkin too. Yeah, that's a good one.
There's a scene that we always bring up. I think that we bring this up now every single episode of our podcast. We talk about the scene.
I was leaving it so you could have it. I was like, because I know you're going to want to talk about it.
I mean, Tarkin, the thing about Tarkin for me as a book, so if you understand Tarkin and Vader and just how powerful they are, you get so many verbal sparring between them. It's fantastic. And it's not too often. You don't get too much of Vader, so it doesn't burn out, sort of thing. It's not like too much, but it's fantastic. And then there's also an interrogation scene in Tarkin, but the book doesn't want to make it jarring. The writer James O'Connor does a really good job of sort of like shielding you sort of from the whole horrible act of interrogation. But you get to see how Tarkin is phrasing his questions and pushing in on the pressure points at a certain point. It's so interesting, that scene and how it's set up. My favorite scene in Tarkin isn't actually the one that Brian loves from before, My favorite scene from Tarkin is all the way at the end. At the end of the book, and what seems to be the epilogue, it seems to be Tarkin is sort of going back to his home planet, reliving his path, the path for his coming of age ritual. All of a sudden, and it's fine. It's the book is leading you down him just reliving this path, which is extremely dangerous and perilous. All of a sudden, you realize that he's being tracked by someone who's trying to assassinate him. He knows he's being tracked. He's led him into a natural trap. There's nobody helping him do this except this one little caretaker who's just left a little getaway vehicle somewhere for Tarkin to get away from. The small conversation Tarkin has behind his back, he's just looking there and he looks straight ahead and he knows someone behind him is trying to assassinate him. He just has a conversation as if he's talking to himself, and then the assassin comes out. That scene and that little the feeling I got is what I remember every single time. I may not necessarily remember every single word, but I just remember the feeling I got of, oh, he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's a villain. Like, whoa. But obviously you mentioned Lords of the Sith as well, because you get to see Vader and Palpatine.
Yeah.
You get to see them. You get to see Palpatine sort of half grooming, half testing, half sort of. Vader says this one thing. He's like, he's shocked to himself when he's just looking at Palpatine. And Palpatine is like looking at Vader up, sort of like smirking, smiling, like just watching his every move. And Vader's like, WTF? Like, dude, stop creeping me out. Like, seriously. He's just like trying to figure out how to survive on this planet. What do we do? And he just looks at it. So this sort of inner dialogue with one of your favorite characters, so you can sort of hear the voice in your head. That's what drives this kind of story. I will mention my favorite scene, Master and Apprentice, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan is sort of, he's a kid. He's half child, half adolescent. He's in that little bit in between. And he's thirsty for that sort of motivation to become a man, sort of, or get that reassurance, that sort of thing. And Qui-Gon isn't capable of that. But what Qui-Gon does is not be harsh. He's just being really straightforward and really blunt. He's not being emotional. And that little dialogue there of Obi-Wan basically looking up at him like, well, I sort of need you to help me out here. And Qui-Gon looking at him like, yes, I'll do that for you. I'm here for you. I understand now. And I have to learn to do that for you. And that's really close to the end of the book. And that's really, really emotional there. Something else, though, that needs mentioning is Claudia Gray's Lost Stars. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning Lost Stars, of course,
here we go. Here we go.
Because it doesn't
this is
necessarily
going to be the rest of the show. Here we go.
So the reason why, and you can, it's easy for us. So all the books we've mentioned until now are quote unquote famous characters, right? Like, let's just say, like, the characters are in the movies. They're the ones. Lost Stars, the primary characters in there are not characters that you've seen in the movies. So when you read Lost Stars, and it's very dialogue driven, you really understand. Like, it's like you're watching a movie. And I did not expect this roller coaster. I did not get any spoilers. None of you guys told me what to expect. You just told me you're going to read one of the best books, period. Not the best Star Wars book, one of the best books, period.
I read that book
and
in
it was
2 days.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Because of the journey. It just rips your heart out and puts it back in and rips it out again, puts it back in. Because the stories run in dialogue of love and action and passion and emotion, expectation, ambition, all these things in certain notes, and they hit you just the right way. Using dialogue, not using events, not using strategy. You're not gonna pick something up that was, oh, I saw that 3 chapters ago. No, it's not like that. You're literally living through these two people's lives on opposite sides of a coin, and you don't expect one of them to go the other way. It's just, I could talk about this thing forever. Without trying to stay away from spoilers, with this one book, I'll stay away from spoilers because I loved how shocked I was with that story.
Yeah.
And so those are the main huge picks for me. Catalyst I haven't read yet. So I read half of it, and then the other half I had it as an audiobook. So I have mixed feelings about it. So I have to go back and read it as a novel because I think reading trumps being an audio. You know what I mean? Like, so I have to read it fully.
Yeah.
I'll give you a High
the
Republic.
reason why I had the second half was an audiobook was because I lost it. So it was my fault.
I'll give you a High Republic one. So, like, almost all the books are very cinematic, especially Phase 1.
Yeah.
And almost all the books, they all have very cinematic moments. But I will say, as a collective whole, and you'll be coming up to it pretty soon. Path. Let me make sure I get this run right. Path of Vengeance.
Yeah.
Yeah, by Kevin Scott, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Path of Vengeance. That book. Oh, just
I
buckle
love
up,
that book.
Usef.
I love that
You
book.
love
Okay.
you love villains and you love
Yeah.
bad guys. That is a book for you. It is beautiful. It is incredible. Like a lot of people will give a lot of have harsh love for Phase 2 and going back in time and all that.
Okay.
Those YA books. Those YA books
Yeah.
are very special, especially
They're better than the Del Rey's.
that one.
Yeah, that one's better
Oh,
than
yeah.
Cataclysm. Because
Yeah.
I what's weird is like, so with the High Republic too, like Phase 2 especially, it's made to where you can, I'm assuming it's made where you can read the two main books and then that's it, and understand what's going on technically. But after reading all of them, you have to read the YA stuff to know what's going on, because there's a fate. The fate of a main character that's in the Del Rey novels is in one of the YA novels. Like, I'm not gonna say who. I'm not,
Yeah.
but the fate of somebody who is very prominent in Phase 2 doesn't
I have
even
a hot
happen
take.
in the main novel. It's in the little spin-off novel, and it's like,
I have a
what?
hot take for Phase 2, and you're gonna read all of it, Yusuf, so I'm okay with saying.
Yeah.
But if someone was to ask me, was like the essential books, most people would say like to read the adult books. Phase 2, in my opinion, no, you got to read the YA books. You can respectfully skip the adult books.
You honestly can. The YA books follow more of what the Path is doing than anything else, and they're just that. Yeah, that's why I had you read Path of Deceit before we started on Convergence, because
Did you start with Phase 2? Is that what's
we're
happening?
starting with Phase 2.
Ooh,
we're going
I
chronological.
wanna know.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends that I've always wondered if someone would do that, what that experience would be like. So I will definitely want to pick your brain,
Yeah.
Yusuf.
I'm
Gotcha.
Very curious.
I'm
Okay.
only 4 books behind from finishing High Republic completely. Because I've read all of Phase 1, all of Phase 2, and I'm like halfway through
Trials?
Phase 3.
Trials will also fit your category, fit the category for this question of
Yeah?
like dialogue. Like it is.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
So
to get
far,
Charles?
let me tell you, since we're on the topic, so
Mhm.
far it feels like it's building something. It feels every book doesn't feel, oh wow, there's no happy ending, and that's good. I'm not getting closure with every book, and
Right.
that's good with every story. And it's weird because I hate that. With this, because I know it's a journey, I'm happy with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
However, I have started getting this little taste of, oh, here's this character that you're seeing a quarter or a third of the time while you're reading the book, the perspective from,
Don't get attached.
and all of a sudden he's dead by the end of the book. Like,
That is
it's
quite
not even the end of the
this
book yet, and
community.
he's dead.
Don't get attached.
Yep.
No,
It's not
Yusuf,
even the
get
end
attached.
of the book yet, and he's dead.
Get attached to every single Jedi you think is the cool. Because I'll tell you what, no
Think you're
spoilers.
heartbroken.
Every single
if-
Jedi.
If you've read the books, you know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to say the name, but there was one Jedi in particular. As soon as Phase 1 started, I was like, I love this Jedi. They're my favorite. I want to see everything this guy does. I absolutely love him. And then, like, 2 books in? I'm like, okay, well, never mind. I was like, well, what about this one? I love this one. Oh, never mind. Just move on to the next one, I guess.
No one is safe.
I
No
will
one
say
is.
the path is such a cool cultish concept. I'm liking the creepy vibes. I'm liking the monsters. It's so
So I have a really random thing also where I listen to a lot of the audiobooks mostly. They, for the High Republic, very uniquely, they created a lot of original music for it, and for the Path books, when they actually have the Path,
Really?
they have this unique music that I want them to release so bad because it is just so chilling and haunting, and just it's so
Do they not like have it
good.
on Spotify or anything? Like,
No.
Really?
no. I've looked up the artist. So I keep looking up the artist just in case, like it will like come up eventually. But no, they've created a lot of original music for the High Republic.
So my High Republic journey is primarily audiobook.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying so far, but I need to read. I need to experience a few more books to
Yeah.
Yes.
hone in
Yusuf-
on exactly the fact.
Yusuf corrects me a
Mhm.
lot when I say people's names wrong because he knows what they sound like. I don't because I just read it on my.
Well, I
Kindle.
haven't done that yet. You've been asking me to do it, but I haven't done that yet.
Oh,
just-
well, it's kind
Just
of
wait, there's a famous AT-AT name in this initiative that you haven't met yet, but everyone has 2 ways of saying his name, and it's very funny.
Okay.
You talking about?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's fights.
I love this.
There's
I love
fights
this.
over how you say it. Because even in the narration, they've said it 2 different ways.
Yes, they
Yeah,
have.
they've said it 2 different ways. I know that much. So it's like, well, which is it? God, no. Okay. So anyway, yeah, I I know who you're talking about. But one more scene I was thinking of too, before we move on to the next one, was back to Lords of the Sith. There's a scene in that book where Vader is trying to get on this ship with these Twi'leks that are trying to assassinate him, and he's in his TIE fighter, and he's force choking the guy above him in the next ship, and then he crashes the TIE fighter onto the ship, ejects, cuts a hole in the hole with his lightsaber, and drops in. And on the bridge, all you can hear is like, he's in the hallway, and then you hear, I'm coming for you next. It's like, oh, jeez, that's awesome. Yep. I love that scene. Sorry, I had to go back to that. I was thinking about that one a while ago.
The first time Brian actually sent me a photo of something deliberately of content he didn't just send me this scan of that last book that we read together. A couple of years back, you sent me a couple of photos of a certain comic book where Darth Vader, he's surrounded and he crashes down. Yes. And then
I love that line.
Lord Vader, give it up. You're surrounded. I'm surrounded by fear and dead men.
Yeah, I love that
Holy
line.
Crap. That is another scene of
Vader's a cold bastard in the comics. Vader's cold in the comics. Like when he's fighting Luke for the first time, like issue number 1 or 2, and he's just like, "You killed my father," and he's like, "You're gonna have to be more specific. I've killed very many fathers." I'm like, "Oh my god, Jesus! Oh, take it down a notch there, Vader. He didn't ask for that. Rude." So yeah, that's that. There's so many good scenes in a lot of the books. We're not going to talk about Luke moving the noodle in Heir of the Jedi. We're not going to talk about that scene. There's several that you don't want to talk about, but even the Thrawn novels, especially the Ascendancy novels, there's a lot of good moments in those. Those are deep though. Those are dense. They're dense. They're heavy. Those are when I was with Newsnet, Tyler Bradshaw, he had only read like the first couple chapters of the first book, and he had kind of put it down, and then he didn't realize how much time had passed, and then Newsnet asked him to review one of the books, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll review it," and it was the third book, but he had 12 days to get the review out, so he was like, "Oh, crap." So he sat down and powered through the entire Thrawn Ascendancy trilogy in 12 days, and I'm like, I have no idea how you did that, because
you brain therapy after that.
Jeez, I was like, you're a machine, because those are Game of Thrones deep. Like, those are dense books. Those are not for the beginner readers. That's not where you start. That's definitely not where you start. So, guys, let us know what are some of your favorite moments in some of the books. Your favorite dialogue. Which books do you think have the best dialogue? Let us know. Sound off. We want to hear what you guys have to say. Question number 2 this week comes from Tim Peterson, and Tim says, "Hello, Brian and Usef. I've been a fan of the channel since the days of the Star Wars Canon Library. I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on Spaceballs 2? The original Spaceballs was very funny in my opinion. May the Schwartz be with you in 2027. Dude, this announcement came out a couple of months ago. I cried. I was so happy that they're doing it, because Spaceballs is one of those movies. There's 2 movies in this world. No matter how many times I watch it, 3 movies. There's 3 movies in this world. No matter how many times I watch it, it's just funny every time. Spaceballs is number 1. Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters. I laugh at that movie every single time I see it. And Tommy Boy. Those are the 3 movies. No matter what, if I want to laugh, I put those on because they're just so stupidly funny. Spaceballs. I just watched it not that long ago with Kirsty. And we were laying down, and I just put it on as white noise to go to sleep. I ended up staying up and watching the whole movie. I just couldn't go to sleep to it. They're finally making Ghostbusters. They're finally making Spaceballs 2. And Mel Brooks is coming back. Like, oh my God, we need to film his stuff fast, because what is he, like, he's in his 90s now, isn't he?
Yeah.
We need to get his stuff.
I can't believe Mel Brooks is coming back. That was going to be my major question. I was like, is Mel Brooks still alive? I don't mean this in a bad way. He's amazing.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I just genuinely was. Yeah, he's fantastic. He's legendary.
Hilarious. He was in the announcement video too, and he was like, for years we've been listening to the fans, and instead we're not doing any of that. We're making this movie, and I was like, that's hilarious. That is absolutely. Yeah. And then the crawl they did talking about all the different movies that have come out since Spaceballs, and that's funny. It's funny because it doesn't take itself seriously, and it's just.
I am your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate.
What does that make
Something like
us? Absolutely nothing. This movie's so stupid funny. JG, have you? Okay, first off, do you like the first Spaceballs? And tell me why you love the first Spaceballs.
It is.
Are you ready for
Still
this
on
one?
my. It is still on my to watch list.
You've never
actually.
watched Spaceballs.
I've never watched Spaceballs. Nope.
No, I don't even
I've
know what
watched
that's
it,
like.
but
What's
not
that like?
More than one.
What is that
I've watched it,
like?
not more than one.
It's crazy because people reference it a lot, and I don't know what they're talking about. And as a Star Wars
What?
fan, it's kind of weird.
No, what is that like? Because I grew up with Spaceballs. I saw Spaceballs before I saw Star Wars, and so yeah,
Wow.
and so
Wow.
yeah,
No way.
and I had no idea what was going on in Spaceballs, but and as a kid, you don't get half the jokes. That's
Yeah.
why Ghostbusters gets funnier the older I get, because I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. But like, what's that like? Never seeing. You have to watch Spaceballs, dude.
Oh, it's on the list.
Oh
now,
my
for sure.
God.
And now it's a priority. so-
Yes. Oh my God, Usef.
I only ever watched Spaceballs recently. It was like a year ago or something.
What?
I only watched it
How are
once.
you guys just
Love
watching
it.
this for the first
Well,
time?
Spaceballs
This
never
is the
made it
greatest.
over here, just so you know.
The greatest parody movie ever made. It's literally the greatest.
Anyway, no,
About to
I mean,
boot you both
Spaceballs
off the
is
show.
it's pretty funny. You can watch it. It's really silly. It's really in there. And because we love Star Wars, so when
It's
you
so
watch it,
funny.
it's going to be super cringe at some
Mhm.
moments, but that's kind of what makes it
That's-
nice.
So to genuinely answer it, I think just because like I had a strict house, so it definitely wasn't going to be something that was going to be intentionally watched, in the living
Right.
room or whatever. And then also, as I've gotten older and such, I am not a comedy person much. Like it would really take a lot for me to like intentionally watch a comedy, and even as a Star Wars fan, it just has never been that draw and pull. Now that there is a second, and now that it is like really going to be in the cultural mainstream and
Yeah.
everything, and the zeitgeist and all that, it's going to be watched.
Might pull the trigger on it finally, huh? Oh,
Gonna
I
have to.
love it. I love the first song. I'm yogurt. I that movie. You just go into it with an open mind, and just go into
Oh,
it
totally.
and know that it's going to be stupid. It is
Oh, yeah.
so stupid.
For what it's worth, I love Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So
Oh,
I can
good.
watch,
Then you'll love
I can
this.
watch
Yeah.
stupidity. I can
Yeah,
watch.
then you'll love this. Yeah, the whole scene with the coconuts, the guy's just like
Yes.
running up. Yeah, that's what Spaceballs is. You're gonna
Yes.
love it. Dude, Spaceballs is so freaking funny. Bill Pullman is great as Lone Star in this movie, and so I'm just it's so great. But the fact that they're doing a second one, yes, thank God. And the fact that Mel Brooks is being the one is actually the one doing it, that makes me feel so much better. That's not just some
Crazy.
big name studio that got a hold of the IP and
Mhm.
decided to fall. I'm glad it's actually him doing it.
At the age of 99, that's crazy.
Yeah, man, film his scenes now. Get him filmed
Please.
so that the rest of it you can do. Same thing with Bill Pullman. He's getting up there too a little bit.
Yeah.
But still, I'm so excited. There's gonna be some people that aren't in it. Like Barf. I don't see how we're gonna have Barf now that John Candy has passed away. Barf the dog was just what was he? He was a Mog. Is that right, Usef? He was a Mog, half man, half dog.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he was. I'm a Mog. I'm my own best friend. It's just so
I'm my own
funny.
best friend. Yes, I remember that. I'm my own best friend.
And Pizza
I
the Hut.
remember.
Pizza the Hut. I know he's made a pizza, but every time that scene comes on, I want to throw up in my mouth a little bit because it's so disgusting. It's like, oh, God, it's so gross. Anyway, yeah, I'm excited for Spaceballs 2. Sign me up. It's crazy that we're gonna get that the same year we're getting a Star Wars movie that year too, right? That's the year right now for the new Jedi Order movie, supposedly.
Is it-
Or no, that's Starfighter. 27 is
2027?
Starfighter, yeah.
Yeah, 27 Starfighter.
So we'll get Star Wars Starfighter and Spaceballs 2 in the same year.
And A New Hope is also going to be in theaters.
Yes, that is going back into theaters again. You're absolutely right.
Are we
Man.
we imagining that he's going to keep the same tone of slapstick parody
better.
stuff, or is he?
With
And then
how
he's
they
also
did
going
the
to
crawl,
make
I don't see
so
anything
much
else.
Yeah.
fun at the Disney era writing. And I think he's going to be like killing 5 different people, and then 5 minutes later, they're going to come back to life. They'll be like, "Oh,
No,
I suppose
think,
there's nothing important about killing you."
I think
anymore.
JG's right. I think with the tone of the crawl they showed for that teaser, that fit right in with the first Spaceballs. Perfect. That could have appeared in the first Spaceballs. It was perfect. And just watching it, I was laughing. I had to actually pause it because I was laughing so hard. I had to, because I was going to miss the words as they went. And finally I was like, oh, thank God they're doing it. And if it's not called The Quest for More Money, then I don't know what. I hope they call. Part of me wants to call it. Wants them to call it Spaceballs 3, The Search for Spaceballs 2. I think that would be amazing. And they. So there's a scene, and I told Kirsty this the other day. We were talking about. It was right after the announcement of Spaceballs 2 came out. I guess it's been longer than the other day, but I was like, they missed an opportunity with this movie, because in the first movie there's a scene where they're like, we need to know where they're going. We need to know what's happening next. So they go open this case, and it's got all these Mel Brooks movies in it, and they bring out Spaceballs on cassette tape in the movie. They've got Spaceballs on tape, and they put it in, and they fast forward to the point where they're actually at, where it's like the repeating screen, and they're like, turned around looking at it. He's like, where's, what? He's like, what are we looking at right now? And he's like, now. That was then. This is now. And he's like, yeah, now they have VHS tapes that come out before the movie's even done filming. And they had an opportunity to make this movie completely without even announcing it. Make the movie, put it in stores like in a steelbook on Blu-ray, and release it. Yep. And then be like, oh, hey, we're releasing it in theaters, and then put it in theaters. Would have been the funniest thing they could have done with this movie. Yeah. I think that would have been absolutely hilarious. But anyway, they probably, I don't even know if they could get away with doing that. But that would have been absolutely hilarious. I would have probably puked laughing, to be completely honest. So Spaceballs 2, bring it on, especially since we're getting A New Hope and Starfighter in the same year. It's going to be a lot of fun going to the theater.
I can't be reading this right.
What are you reading?
Mel Brooks was born in 1926.
That's right.
Yes. Yep.
This makes him 99 years old.
Yep. And he'll be 101 by the time the movie comes out.
100 years old next year. 2027. He'll be 101 potentially when this movie comes out. 100 or 101.
Yep.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. He's gonna pass Betty White.
Is this gonna be a record?
He's gonna do it. Is
it gonna be a record for like the oldest actor ever to come out in a movie?
Oh,
that I don't know.
That I don't know either. I don't know. Rose was pretty old in Titanic. I'm just kidding. It's been 84 years. No, I think for acting, that might be a record, actually. I don't... Oldest person ever to appear in a movie? I don't know. Is that even a thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Usef might be on
according to a quick
104 years old. There's a Swedish actress. And then there's a couple of 100 years old.
There's a 99 June Lockhart. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Very interesting.
Wow. That'll be fun, though. Especially if he's Yogurt again, or if he's the president. And he just, I think it'll be great. Because he played two roles in that movie. He played the president and he played Yogurt. I love Spaceballs. Thanks for sending in the question, Tim. Very excited for Spaceballs. I'm gonna have to, when we get done recording tonight, that's what I'm gonna have to go put on TV now to fall asleep to. Because I love that movie so much.
Show it to Tyler.
I need to, and now that he's seen Star Wars, he'll get it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's Spaceballs is hilarious. Well, there's adult humor in there too, that the more he watches it, the funnier it'll get. I mean, you know, like I said with Ghostbusters. Yeah, with Ghostbusters, there's jokes in there that as a kid I didn't get, but my parents would laugh, and I was like, oh, I don't think that's what. Now that I'm grown up and I got kids, I'm like, oh, that's so funny. Anyway. Thanks for the question, Tim. Do appreciate it. Let's get on to the third question for this week before we wrap the show up. And this question comes from Timothy Hatfield. Timothy writes in, hey there, crew. I love the show and your outlook on the universe. I tell everyone I can about your show. Keep it up. Thanks for the kind words, man. Appreciate it. Timothy says, my question is, what do you think is the right order to show someone Star Wars for the first time? I mean, everything, like movies, shows, all of it. Thanks for the question, Timothy. I just showed my son Star Wars for the first time, and we did release order. I actually didn't do chronologically this time. I showed them 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, and then we went back and watched Rogue One and Solo. And then I think now the next thing we're going to do is Clone Wars. We're going to start watching Clone Wars arcs. But when I met Kirsty, when Kirsty and I met, she came to my house for the first time to meet my family. And in my room at the time, this was in 2012, I am a nerd. You guys have seen my backdrop on some of my old videos. I had action figures hanging on the walls, and I had all my stuff up and everything. And I told my mother, I was like, do not let her in my room. I don't want her knowing that I'm a geek. I can't blow it with this girl. Like, I have to, I gotta keep it straight, right? She walks in the door, and the first thing my mother says is, why don't you go show her your room? And I'm like, you mother. And so we go to my room, and she's like, oh, so you like Star Wars? And I was like, yeah. Yeah, I like Star Wars. What? Kind of. She's like, kind of. You have action figures on your wall. And I was like, kind of. Yeah. And remember, at this time, there was only 6 movies at this time, and the Clone Wars. That was all there was at this point. And I was like, yeah. And she goes, I've never seen Star Wars before. And in an instant, my brain went from, oh my God, this girl's going to break up with me because I love Star Wars, to, oh my God, how am I going to break up with this girl because she's never seen Star Wars? Like, it was just that quick. And then she was like, but I'll watch them. And I was like, okay, we can salvage this. And we watched them chronologically. And she tells me she wishes I had shown them to her in release order. So I guess it's to each their own. What do you guys think? I mean, what would you like? Have you even heard of this machete order? That's like 4, 5, and then 2, 3,
1,
and then
2,
6.
3,
Yeah,
6.
like it's a weird order. What do you got? What do you guys think about this?
So this might be a cop-out answer, but it is genuinely my answer. It is dependent on the individual that I am showing this to. I think more times than not, probably going the release order is the way that it should be. It's the way that it did happen. It came out that way. Also, like, there are people, even though they're silly and wrong, will really look at it and be like, oh, that's so outdated and it's so like old. And it's like, well, no, it actually still really holds up. But
It does.
there are some that will have their opinions that are wrong about the original trilogy. So there is a benefit to watching the original trilogy first and progressing forward as technology improved. But I do think it's dependent. There are some people where it's like, at this point, if you are alive, you know that Darth Vader is Luke's father. You know, like that really isn't
What?
a surprise anymore.
What'd you just say?
I know, crazy.
I like the way I love the way JG said that. If at this point, if you are alive, you know that Darth Vader is Luke's father.
I mean, you really have to be like.
No, you're right, because it's weird when I get on like TikTok and YouTube and I see these videos of like grown people watching Star Wars for the first time, and you hear, "No, I am your father," and they're like, "What?
I really
is that real?" And like, I'm like, "What? How?"
I really think there's taste. Anyway, yeah.
I'm like, how do you
so
not
I really
know?
do think it depends, and it's also like to the same point now. Like we have a lot of content that is geared for younger audiences, and so
Yes.
while as much as I think a lot of us who grew up with the prequels or even the original trilogy, we have that endearment in our heart to want to show that to them. I do think there is a place to show them like Young Jedi Adventures first, and show them, you know, some of the other animated content that is geared towards them, because I think that's where the foundation is there. That way, whenever they get, you know, to be in elementary, we could then show them
That's a really good show.
Yeah,
that's a really good show. I mean, when I watched Star Wars for the first time, I knew that it existed. I knew what Darth Vader looked like because, you know, the logo's somewhere, everywhere. I knew what a lightsaber was, but I watched them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I watched them chronologically. And I was still waiting for this Luke to show up until eventually I forgot that there was a Luke that even existed. And there was a friend
because you
of
get
mine
wrapped
at
up in the
school,
prequel story and you don't even think about.
and
later
then
on.
exactly, and then there was a friend of mine at school who was like, "Yeah, Obi-Wan dies in the first movie," and I'm like, "What? Obi-Wan? What are you talking about? Qui-Gon dies in the first movie. Obi-Wan's still there." He's like, "Huh? Must have watched the wrong movie then." I was like, "Wait, me or you?" It was that. I remember having that conversation. I never saw that guy again because he switched schools. I didn't even remember his name.
Good riddance. Forget that guy.
Anyway.
Sounds like a bad influence.
Obi-Wan died in the first movie, as in Obi-Wan Kenobi in Episode 4 when Vader strikes him down. That's what he meant because his father showed him Star Wars in that order. When I got really into Star Wars, and then my older brother, who liked Star Wars, just hadn't really sat down and watched the whole thing in order. He wanted to watch it, and I was debating this with myself. So I showed it to him in release order because he was like, "No, I want to see Luke. I want to see Vader straight away." So he saw it in release order. And exactly as JG just said, he touched upon, and my brother touched upon both things. He enjoyed watching the main story and then sort of the origin. And then at the same time, it was the technology thing. He was like, yeah, I don't think I could have gone back after episode 3 and gone back to seeing 4, 5, 6. There's no way. And this is really one of those things also. I don't want to start this debate or anything, but it's just a point for people that actually want to see a remake of 4, 5, 6.
Don't you want to talk about that? You don't say that. What that? You don't even know. You don't even tickle that idea.
Kind of touched upon this thing. I think they should never be touched.
The day the cat blew up.
I think they should never ever be touched. But just saying that this is kind of where it comes from of this exact point. That being said, a lot of if it takes too long. So for example, my soon to be extended brother-in-law. So my wife's sister is engaged. So her fiance, he really wants to get into Star Wars, but he's asking me like, let's take out a weekend and show me what you got. Like throw it at me.
Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot with Star Wars.
He's preparing for his wedding. He's preparing for his wedding, so I'm waiting until after all of that. And he's like, "Yo, once I'm locked in, we're family now. So I'm not gonna run away. I'm not gonna be talking to my fiance like, who are these in-laws you have? That kind of stuff." So I'm debating this as well. But the thing that I have here is because all of a sudden he's asking me about Mandalorian, and I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. You could watch that because he already knows, lightsabers and pew pew, and he already understands that stuff.
Yeah.
But he's not gonna understand the importance of Luke showing up. He's not gonna understand why a Grogu, why a Baby Yoda is so important. So I'm not sure whether to let him or to have him be like, well, why don't you just slow down a minute and let me guide you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
so I'm having brought up a great point here.
You just brought up a good point that I never thought of before, because you've also got people like the experience is going to be different depending on when you saw this stuff in your life. Because you brought up Luke in The Mandalorian. That's a great point. If somebody if I go show Tyler Mandalorian, right, since we just watched Star Wars, and he sees Luke pop up, he's like, oh, cool, it's Luke Skywalker. But me as a grown ass adult who grew up with Luke Skywalker, who hasn't seen him in so long, I bawled my eyes out watching that because it was so special.
We went crazy.
I never thought of that. I never thought about that variable, about how long you have to. That's a really good point.
I think also it comes into a good point too, is that there's one thing where a person says, show me, and then we kind of we take the driver's seat. But there are some people who are like, I am really interested in this. And while maybe in our minds it is not the most optimized way to introduce someone, I think there is sometimes something to be said about if they find a really fascination. Let's just say Darth Maul show coming up here, for example. If they're really super into villains and darkness and they love crime stories and such, yes, ultimately that is probably a not great place to start. But if they watch that show and that means that they want to watch more of Star Wars and learn it, then I'd rather that be their entry point then, because it means they are going to explore more of Star Wars in their own unique journey.
The water will be a little more tepid to get the toes in.
Yeah.
No, but I like JG's approaches in there isn't one or two ways to start. There's different angles as well. You can come at Earth from different landing points. Basically, is what you're trying to say.
Right.
That's really cool. I like that approach.
I have a friend who became a Star Wars fan because of the fact that they read The High Republic. They saw a book, a Star Wars book with the first one, Light of the Jedi, and they started reading it, and then they just dove into Star Wars as a result of that. So
and that's a great starting point, honestly. That's a great story.
Honestly, this so that surprises me. That really surprises me. Not in a bad way. I'm just saying, I know it doesn't make much sense, me saying it out loud now. I never would have thought that somebody would have picked up a High Republic book if they weren't already a Star Wars fan. To be honest with you.
It's good marketing. You got these really cool looking Jedi, especially that first book where, it has all the Jedi on there. It looks very, what am I looking for?
the cover looks amazing.
Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table kind of
with the
very
cross
good
guard
vibe
sabers and yeah.
It has that feel. It's very good.
Data. I'd love to see that data. If you know JG, do you know how many? Is there a percentage of people that are not Star Wars fans that have picked up Republic?
I don't have that information, and I don't know. That would be really fascinating. I will say a good point is most of those first High Republic books were New York Times bestsellers.
Yeah.
So I think that's enough to say that a lot of people picked up that book.
They had a lot of publicity behind it too, because they really pushed the High Republic thing for a while.
They marketed Phase 1 really well.
Very well. Even with the behind the scenes stuff, showing the concept art and showing all the authors in the same room together.
Yes.
That was a big deal. Because even people that were like, well, the sequels make no sense because they didn't have, whatever that argument is. And then they see this and everybody's in the same room and they have concept art for books. That's awesome. That means everybody's on the same page and they say we have a story to tell, not just stories. We have a story to tell. I think that got a lot of people on board.
Yeah. And I think a general basic answer is most of the time, most of the path is someone's going to get introduced to the movies. They're going to more than likely, now that we have live action TV, they're then going to dive into live action TV, move into animation. And then if they're really, really then like us basically on this podcast and then people that are listening, they're going to get into the books and comics.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so like with Tyler, I started, like I said, I showed him release order. I showed him 4, 5, and 6 first, just to kind of like, that's the foundation. That's Star Wars. And then then I asked him, do you want to watch more? And it was yes, I would like to see more. I said, okay. Then we went back and watched 1, 2, and 3. And then he was like, that was sick. That's really cool how it all came together. I was like, do you want to watch more? And he was like, yeah. And so it was 7, 8, and 9. And so we watched 7, 8, 9, which he loved 7, 8, and 9. He loves the sequel films. He loves Rey. Rey's one of his favorite characters. Which that's great. Star Wars is, marketed towards kids. That's great. That's his
demographic.
Exactly. And I'm glad that it, it does for him what the originals did for me, and then I was like, hey, there's these 2 standalone movies. It's Rogue One and then a Han Solo origin movie. Do you want to watch those? And he was like, yeah. So we went back and watched Rogue One, and then he saw how that tied everything together and saw Vader being, Billy Badass in the hallway and was like, what? And then we watched Solo just recently, and he was like, I told him, we can skip Solo if you really don't want to watch it, because it's not really tied into anything else. It's just strictly, he's like, no, I'll watch it. And so we loved it. And so now he says, I want to go see Mando and Grogu in theaters next May. And I'm like, well, there's some other stuff you might have to watch before that if you want to know what's going on. And he was like, okay, so I watched The Mandalorian. I'm like, yeah. And Book of Boba Fett. I was like, and Ahsoka. And I was like, and then I was like, and there's 7 seasons of Clone Wars, and there's 4 seasons of Rebels. And so I was like, because I was like, in order to understand what's going on in Mando and Grogu, you're gonna have to watch Mandalorian, and to understand that whole story, you have to watch Mando, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka. And to understand what's going on in Ahsoka, you have to watch Rebels. But to understand what's going on in Rebels, you need to go watch Clone Wars. And I was like, it's just this domino effect, and so. He was like, how
you get sucked in.
I know, and he's like, let's do it. And I was like, bet. You bet. Right on. And so
amazing.
So we're gonna start watching some Clone Wars. I'm gonna watch Clone Wars again. I gotta show him that stupid 2008 movie they made. I have to show it. That's the only one I haven't had the guts to show it to him yet. Because I don't want to lose him. I don't want to lose him.
It's a trip. That's actually funny enough, that's probably one of the second most important things to watch before
the Clone Wars movie. yeah. Honestly,
which is super funny to say.
Yeah. Well, there's like 2 episodes of the show and then the movie chronologically, and then the first 3 seasons are all cut up and weird. Yep. And then like seasons 4 through 7 are basically just in whatever order they put them out in. So we're gonna watch all the arcs and everything, and then we're gonna go watch Rebels. I'm excited to show him Rebels. I'm super excited to show him Rebels. Because I remember when Rebels came out in 2014. Is that right? Yes.
Yep.
In 2014, or was it 2015? No, it was 2015.
It was 2014. October 3rd, 2014, my birthday.
Oh, you're right. Okay, no, you're right. It
was
that was amazing. A good birthday gift. Heck yeah.
Because October,
which is wild because that
2008 is when Clone Wars premiered on October 3rd. I'm very lucky as a Star Wars fan.
No kidding. Wow, that's cool. No, but I remember watching the first 2 episodes of Rebels, and I was like, Star Wars is back, man. That was Star Wars. That was pure Star Wars. That was great.
Yep.
I loved it, but then I also was like, never do the Wookiees again, please. Stop that.
The Wookiees look terrifying. Oh, man. Yeah, they did not look great, did they? Ooh, they look better in Clone Wars. I think which is why they stuck with the Clone Wars animation for stuff.
I do too.
I think that was the right choice. I think that's pretty signature at this point.
Yes.
I think everything should be that animation style, honestly. even if they end up doing something somewhere down the line with like Luke and stuff, I think Clone Wars animation, stick with it, because that is
I've been dying to get a video game in Clone Wars animation.
that'd be cool. That would actually be
You know what I
cool,
mean?
yeah.
That'd be
I always wanted to get like a commando game, like a stormtrooper shooter game, third person or first person in Clone Wars animation, Rebels animation.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. And you can refine it to make it like 4K and HD and stuff. If you can do that with Lego, you can do that with Clone Wars animation. It'd be amazing.
Oh, and he's probably going to want to watch Bad Batch at some point, because he hears Kirsty and I talk about Omega all the time. That's
Are you going to hate me if I remind you that I still haven't finished Bad Batch? Not even close.
Oh. No, Bad Batch isn't one.
You should, but
I
no.
should.
But, no, I should. I really.
But Bad Batch isn't one that you like. I don't feel like it's maybe with the cloning
I don't
stuff
think
with
we have the full
Palpatine.
payoff. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think we
we
have the
don't.
full payoff
You're right.
yet.
You're right. I think because that touched on a lot of the stuff in Mando.
No, but I think it's
everything
enjoyable
like that.
because those
Yeah.
characters
Oh, yeah.
are fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those characters are fantastic.
How much have you watched before I say what I'm about
Yeah.
to say? Have you seen season 1?
Yes. Well, most of it. I didn't finish
Oh,
it.
Never
no.
mind then. Nope,
Yeah,
nope, then I'm
don't
gonna-
say
I-
Don't
nope.
say anything. Yeah, don't say
Yep.
anything.
I saw 6
We're-
episodes of season 1.
Yeah.
It's very important. It's again, it's like the same thing we talked about, like Bloodline, where it's like you kind of wouldn't expect super crazy, because it's a very tight knit show about family, very much like Rebels, but Rebels is
Yeah.
more galaxy spread because of the rebellion. This is very much about like the family element of the Bad Batch
Yes.
and not galaxy wide. However, something very, very important in the galaxy happens, and it's kind of wild.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about too. My jaw dropped when.
Oh, I cried. I have it on
yeah,
camera
I was
too.
just like,
I was.
oh no.
sobbing.
Yeah.
I was.
It was.
sobbed.
It was a big moment. It was.
It's like a piece of my childhood dying. That's all.
No,
I'll say.
honestly, yes, exactly. That's the best way to
okay.
say it, because it was like, what?
Yep.
No way.
Next
It felt
Bad Batch,
honestly, it
right
felt
next to
very
Convergence. Bad Batch next to Convergence.
that
Yes, sir.
event
Mhm.
felt very. Even though I know it was like in the middle of it was toward the end of the season 1, wasn't it? It
the
felt
end.
very end game-ish.
Yes.
That whole thing, because it was such a huge thing
Yes.
happening. You're like,
Mhm.
what? That's been here
Mhm.
the whole time, and now it's just gone. Like it was
Mhm.
just, it was
And how
pretty
it was
wild.
subtly teased in comics for so many years in
Yeah.
canon, and yet no explanation was given
Yep.
until now. And it was like, oh,
yeah.
all right, Bad Batch,
Heartbreaking.
pop off.
Heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking to watch. It was like
There's your teases, Usef. Now you're,
It
now
was
you're,
like
you're, now you're
watching-
hooked.
it was like watching your home get destroyed right in front of you.
Yeah.
It was like,
Firstly,
What?
I like. It's so interesting from my perspective watching you try to talk in code, but
so we
failing,
don't say
and
what
just
happens.
talking- and yet also saying what happens
No,
emotionally,
no.
and therefore it's like crazy.
Oh,
So,
yeah, it hurts. It hurts. It really. Oh god. Oh god. Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, so that's the way I'm going to show Tyler is we're going to do Clone Wars next, and then we're going to do. I'm going to see if he wants to watch Bad Batch, because I think we can knock Bad Batch out pretty quick with
Oh,
those
yeah.
2 seasons, and then
3 seasons,
move
yep.
on to Rebels, which I think Bad Batch leads very well into Rebels. Honestly, with Omega and everything, I think that
Yes.
leads in perfectly. And so I'm excited to get to Rebels, and then we'll watch. I don't want to show him Andor yet. I want to wait on showing him Andor. We've already watched. If I hadn't shown him Rogue One
I think
already,
you need to be older to appreciate
yes,
Andor.
yes. I
Yeah.
think that's a whole different beast.
Yeah.
Because I watch Andor. I finally watched the next arc in Andor. I only have 1 arc left. I have 3 episodes left.
You haven't finished it?
I haven't finished it. I haven't had time. I haven't had any time. But I finally watched the 3rd arc, which was the Gorman Massacre. I finally watched that and was just like,
Oh yeah, you're at the point that where you probably
What?
can't stop watching.
Yeah. yeah. And so I was like, oh my God. Because it's got that cool little crossover with Rebels. And I was just
Yep.
like, oh
Yep.
man. And then, because we watched that arc, and then I went and watched that episode of Rebels. That happens.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
watched those back to back. And there's a couple of continuity
Andor's
things that are
fantastic.
in that episode that are off. Like, in Andor, Bale was on Coruscant, and he was like, I'll join you on Yavin within the year. But then in
Yeah.
the next episode, he's on Yavin watching but there's a couple of things that are off. But overall, the entire thing flowed very well together.
Yeah.
But so I haven't watched the 3rd arc, the 4th arc of Andor yet. But We just got
a
K2.
lot
We
of
just
time-
got
a lot-
K2SO, and I'm like, which by the way, JG, I'm glad you're on this episode, and I'm glad this got brought up. The Cassian and K2SO comic is no longer canon. It has been completely and utterly retconned.
Yeah.
That comic never happened now. I actually took it out of my canon
Why'd
box.
they do that?
Honestly,
Why'd
the
they do
story
that?
they told in Andor was better than what the comic did. It was honestly, it was better.
I was indifferent.
But the comic was a one-shot comic that they did.
Yeah.
And it was Cassian and K2, and like
Who
he's
read it?
fighting K2. Yeah, exactly. K2, I mean, I read it because I watched the show and I was
We
like,
read it.
yeah, and I was just like, no, because it was so easy in the comic. He's fighting K2SO, and K2SO is kind of like fighting his own programming. And then Cassian jumps on his back and flips a switch, and he's just magically Alan Tudyk. Like he's just magically the K2 from Rogue One. And then in Andor, it was like him getting railroaded into the wall, and then like torn apart. And he's just like, "We have your droid. Do you want to come tie it down and turn it on?" Like, and I was like, "Oh, that's way better." So that comic. Is that the first like official complete retcon of a piece of canon?
It's the first very blatant, like, we're going to prioritize the screen over what it's been done. There's obviously
They've
been
retconned a lot of details and stuff,
The Ahsoka and the Tales of the Jedi, that was a lot of...
Yeah, with the novel and everything, yeah. Because the whole Ahsoka Tales of the Jedi thing was the Ahsoka novel. It was just like a very abridged version of it, and it was pretty skewed. But, I think that's the first comic that they were just like, nah. That was it.
And to be fair, I think that was the right choice, and I think fans, we need to kind of allow for that, especially because of the fact that most people are going to be watching what's on TV and movies. Yes. I'm not saying we should need to do this all the time and make a habit of it, but I think in the rare opportunities when it does happen, then I think we just need to look the other way and remember it is fiction.
Yes, it's a breathing thing. It's going to evolve and change, and like you said, the audience for the comic was minuscule compared to what people are watching on TV.
Treat it as a legend. You know, this is a story told around a campfire. We don't know if it's actually true or not, but to some people it happened, and maybe to others they actually think that what happened in Andor is what actually happened. Yeah.
Well, and so they've updated. I know they've updated the Ahsoka novel on my Kindle. I know they did that to match more with Clone Wars after Siege of Mandalore came out. Because I remember, because I've got the hardback and I get Kindle. I get them on both formats, so I can put them on the shelf, take my Kindle with me everywhere and read it. And my Kindle one day, it gave me an update, said update, and it's titled Star Wars Ahsoka, and I just clicked, and it was just a quick update. And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, I wonder if they changed like her lightsaber colors, because in the novel it was green and yellow still, and then in the Clone Wars it was blue. And I was like, I wonder if they changed it. And I went and pulled my hard copy and started flipping through, and sure enough, that's what they changed. Was like her lightsaber colors and stuff on the Kindle version to update it with the Clone Wars. But that's the only time I've ever had it pop up saying, "Hey, update for this book" and stuff. And I was just like, "Huh, interesting." And after that happened, I was really expecting an update to Dark Disciple before Tales of the Underworld came out, or before Bad Batch came out, and I was like, "It's going to do it again." And I waited and never did it, and I was like,
"No,
what the heck?" And so then we got Tales of Underworld. Yeah, that explained it. So, but anyway. What order would you guys show somebody Star Wars in? Where, like, I like JG's idea. What are you into? You know, there's a lot of different genres in Star Wars. We could get you in with like crime thrillers and stuff. I mean, you know, like with Tyler, I think I'm going to show him as much as he wants to watch. And then if he says, "Is there more?" I'm going to be like, "There's a bookshelf downstairs." I'm going to be like, "Go knock your pretty little heart out. Go grab something." Yeah, like, yes. Honestly, book wise, that's a great starting point for books. That's anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. But anyway, where would you guys start somebody on Star Wars? You know, where did you get started on Star Wars? You know, what was the first thing you saw? Because like you said, JG, I know people get started on High Republic too, which is really cool. That's great. I mean, that's awesome. And so,
extremely cool.
And you know, there's going to be kids that get started on Star Wars with Mando and Grogu next year. That's going to be their first Star Wars experience, and it's going to happen. You know, let us know. I want to see what you guys have to say. Which is why I started the channel in the first place, was to talk to other like-minded people who love Star Wars and see what everybody else's experiences were. And I'm going to kind of bring it here full circle before we sign off for the night. It's been 10 years since I started the channel, the Star Wars Canon Library, and it's wild that it's been 10 years. It doesn't seem like it's been 10 years. There's been some cool things we've done on here, man. We had John Jackson Miller on for an interview. We had Mike Quinn on a couple of times, who plays Nine Numb and the classic trilogies and the sequels. It's been really cool. I mean, I've met a lot of cool people. I've met you guys. I've met Usef and JG and Steven and Nick, and Richard J was one of my very first followers back in the day. It's just, he's been for like 9 years. He's been a follower, and we've had him on the show a few times, and, you know, we've had a lot of fun. I know we don't put out an episode every week. You know, right now life gets in the way, you know, like I said, I've got 2 teens, and my son started kindergarten today for the first, it was his first day of kindergarten. So it was kind of a big milestone in life today. And so, you know, life gets in the way. It just does. And you got to prioritize, you know, what's important to you sometimes. And sometimes it's family over trying to put together a podcast episode. And so, we're trying. Yeah. Sometimes something big happens and I'm like, you guys gotta wait. I gotta go downstairs. I gotta get the cockpit fired up. I gotta do, but you know, we're trying to get the gear rolling again on it and get it more regular now that my kids are, you know, my youngest is getting old enough to kind of keep himself entertained now, and he's not going to come running here in the middle of the recording and whatnot. So, and it didn't help either that I gave him my recording studio for his bedroom. I had to build this one out of a closet. His room is right on the other side of this wall. And this was supposed to be like a vocal booth when I built that one. And so this ended up being a catch-all closet. And then when he got old enough, he was like, I want my own room. And I'm like, oh, there's no more rooms in the house. I was like, you can have mine. I was like, and so we converted it into his bedroom. And I built this.
That's a father right there.
I know. And well, I went a while because I was like, I'm not doing episodes right now. And then finally I was like, I want to get back into it. I want to start doing the shows again. I need a place to do it. And so I turned this little booth into, it's like a little 5x8 closet. Honestly, it's the same size as you guys remember when I was in that stupid closet with all the blue and black foam, how tiny it was? Same size. It's just set up different. That one had no air conditioning. That was hotter than hell in there with all that foam. But anyway, but yeah, we're trying to get the show back out on a regular basis and get these reviews going through, because I'd like to really power through a lot of these reviews and get to a point someday where we are caught up on all of our book reviews, and then we can just do book reviews as they come out. I think that would, I mean, it's going to be a while because there's like, 150 novels or something like that at this point, 150 books.
A lot.
There's a lot, yeah. So thank you guys for following us and for being listeners, and especially, you know, Kyler and Tim Peterson, you guys have been followers for a long time. I do appreciate you guys hanging out with us and sticking with us, even though we're not very consistent on getting stuff out. Couldn't do any of this without you guys. And it's just, it's a lot of fun to sit down and talk about Star Wars. You know what I mean? And so, you guys got anything you want to add before we sign off?
I'll just say that I'm very thankful, you know, like these past couple of years where you brought us together, like have been great friendships. I know the next couple of years are going to bring even more opportunities. I mean, Steve and I meet, you know, every couple of months because we're about an hour away, which is really cool. And it's really something special you've built here.
I try. I think I've told the story before. You know, when I started the channel, it was a really dark time in my life at that point, and I just needed an outlet, and Star Wars was my thing, and I just wanted to talk about, you know, stuff, and I met so many cool people along the way, you know, and everything, and so, and you know, we're talking about in 2027 going to Celebration, all meeting up in Celebration for the first time, which would be just awesome to get to meet all you guys in person, you know, and spend the weekend with you and everything, and especially getting Richard J and JG over from, you know, across the 2 ponds that he said he's across, the pond and the Mediterranean. We'll get him over here. I think that'd be a lot of fun for us to all go hang out and just Star Wars it up for a weekend. Especially since Kirsty said she probably won't go. She said, I'll just let you go have your guy time. And I'm like, sweet, I can spend all your money on lightsabers. I was like, we're going to do this. I was like, sweet. I'm coming home with a serious bag. So, thank you guys for being followers. Thank you guys for listening and watching us and sitting here and watching our talking heads argue and just saying off the wall crap and being wrong in our predictions.
May it continue, Master Brian.
Yeah, it will. It's going to. So, thank you guys so much. Guys, thank you for joining me tonight. I know it's late, especially where Usef's at. Thanks for hopping on, man, for tonight's episode. JG, thanks for hopping on. You
Always
are
a
welcome
pleasure.
anytime you want to be on. Hopefully here in the future we can get the full panel on again, get Nick on and Steven, get everybody on. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So, guys, we are going to sign off for the night. Again, thank you for tuning in, and until next episode, may the Force be with you. You've just been listening to the latest episode of the Star Wars Canon Podcast. I'm Brian Miller, joined by my co-host, Usef Waly. You can stream new episodes of the podcast every Saturday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Anchor.fm, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so at patreon.com/1138productions. Be sure to like and subscribe on whichever platform you're listening in on. If you'd like to get a question on the show, you can send it in to us at starwarscanonpodcast@gmail.com. Until next week, keep it civil, and may the Force be with you.